Hello, everyone. It's Kenyon here. Basketball Rewind. It's another draft episode. By now, the pick has conveyed. Sometime in the future, the pick may or may not have conveyed. I'm just kidding. It has conveyed.
As
So,
conveyed.
exactly. Um, Here's the thing. We're going to be going through some guys or who are prospects who may or may not be available. Saloon is one of them. Saloon might be in our range, and he might not be. So, the best way that I can describe Salon, I should say, because I heard an announcer actually speak on him, is he is a mystery box. But from there, I will let you, Coach, go into a little bit about, I guess, his age and whatnot.
So is it Tidjane Salaun or Saloon?
It's Salon according to announcers.
Okay. So Tidjane Salaun. I know we've been calling him Saloon now for months, but he is a 6'9" forward, a little over 200 pounds, still only 18 years old, 7'1" wingspan, and he plays for the Cholet basket team out of France. And Tidjane is from France, very young, born in 2005. Um, yeah, he's one. I think he might be the youngest player, maybe in this draft, if not one of the youngest. And he's been Masai Ujiri has gone to France to watch this kid. There's been some footage that actually shows Masai in the stands while Salon. I'm gonna get this mixed up. I might have to call him Saloon, as he's been playing in some games this year. But when you look at this kid play and you know Masai's background of wanting talent similar to him, you can see there's a potential fit on what he might want. Even dating back to Bruno, okay, these long, lanky forwards with upside, good physical characteristics. You move to Giannis, then you move to Scotty. Okay, there's a theme here, there's a pattern. So certainly, if Salon, I get it right this time, if Salon is on the board at 19, I very much expect that he will be selected by the Toronto Raptors. That's if he lasts to 19. Most boards have him anywhere from like 10, and I've seen as far back into the 20s. I do think he's going to be around that 15 area, but if you are looking for upside, if you don't mind waiting a year or two, and you have the backing from ownership to do so, to pick someone like him, this might be your guy. He is 6'9". There is some two-way versatility upside. And he's not, I look at his kind of his frame. He's got a frame that can fill out, certainly, as well as he gets older. So he's going to be an interesting prospect for a team. And let's just face it, he's a Masai pick if I've ever seen one.
Here's the thing. I call him a mystery box, and I'm not the only one.
Yep,
Gonna
I
give a
agree.
shout out to Raymond. Never thought I'd do that. But, Raymond from Spaces, he said that the draft, now I disagree with his whole take, but he said that the draft is like taking lottery tickets and you get as many lottery tickets as you want and one could be $1 million. What's ironic is that the No Ceilings guys called him the ultimate lottery ticket. I'm calling him Mystery Box. I always remember The Simpsons, where it's like, you could have a car, or you could have the mystery box.
I do too. Oh,
Take the box, take the box.
the box, the box. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the thing is that he is the ultimate mystery box player because he could turn out and be really amazing. I'm not saying he's Bruno 2.0. I'm not. I think he could be better than Bruno for sure.
And
But
I'm not either, people, for the record. I'm just saying there's a physical characteristic type that Masai Ujiri likes, and this kid also fits that same
Right.
prototype, if you like, I should say.
I wasn't even going to go with that even, but yes, there is. Now I will say this. Um, I wrote I wrote a lot of notes. Um,
Now, you can either have the washer and dryer where the lovely Smithers is standing, or you can trade it all in for what's in this box.
The box. The box.
he's going to enter in, and the first thing that you would notice when you see him at Summer League is that he has an NBA ready body. I'm going to compare him to Scotty just for 1 second, and then the comparison ends.
Yep.
The first thing that I noticed about Scotty at Summer League is it's like that's a man.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't need to fill out. He's already filled out before he has to. That's Saloon. Scotty had that as well. And when you have that, in general, you normally notice that it's a lot easier for a guy to have some sort of form of a presence on a game. Just like Scotty did.
I don't think he's 200 pounds. I think he's heavier. If Khalil Ware is 230 pounds, I would say Saloon is at least 215 pounds.
It's either that or he has very hollow bones.
Yes.
So, so here's the thing. That's the first thing that I noticed. The next thing is that I don't have all of the exact numbers, so I'm doing this a little bit off my head, and going from there. I know that he shoots from deep around 32% on the season, but if you parse that out, there's times when if you look at just the catch and shoots that were unguarded, he shoots above 40%. Now that's pretty solid. Sound familiar? But in all seriousness, it is pretty solid. The challenge is that when this is guarded, it dips down to about 30. It dips down. He has a very high release point on his jumper, and that's partially because of his pterodactyl sized 7'2" wingspan. He has a fairly fast release on his shot. Now, not everyone that has the height has the quick release. He has a quick release. The form looks okay. Nothing shocking, but he's still getting used to it. You could tell he's still thinking about it, which is understandable. He's 18 years old. He's going to be 18 when he's drafted. He's not going to be 19 until after the draft. So that's very, very interesting to start off with. I think that the shot itself is a work in progress is what I wrote down, and that he's still working on it. But again, I'm keeping in mind his age. That's why he's a mystery box.
The box.
So I said, well, what does this mean? And to me, it means that he is still working on the exact swing skill that he needs to develop to keep him in the game and to basically allow his game to expand, and that is the three-point shot. You either have to have the creation upside already there, or you have to have the three-point shot to get to the creation upside. Now, his movements are a bit choppy, but they were fluid. I would actually say he's more fluid than Matas. Matas is a bit more refined with what he does, but he's a more fluid athlete than Matas, who we've covered on this channel. But I do see that his offensive limitations will be dependent on him working on certain things beyond the jumper to reach his peak potential. To me, when I first watched him and people were, oh, you got to watch this guy, Masai. The very few times that I watched him early on, he actually disappeared in games. Now, I do not think that he disappeared because of motor issues. I think he disappeared because of inexperience.
Yeah. I don't see motor issues with him.
No motor issues exist. So that's the very first thing that I wanted to point out. He more disappeared because he just he's young and he's still like growing in many ways. But he did show that he could be a potentially really good cutter. He's really good at crashing the glass for his size, offensively and defensively. He's very active at like trying to get involved in plays. And obviously him being young, he does need to get better around the hoop. So right now, again, we're still talking about the offense, but I think he needs to get better around the hoop. And I'm sorry that I'm talking so much, Coach. I'm going to shut up soon.
No, don't. No, I, I can't disagree with anything that you're saying.
Okay, I'm just going through my notes, but yeah.
And
So he around the hoop, he shot about around above 50%, but around 50%. So there's potential there. And the reason why I think that there's potential is from the charity stripe. I think the last recorded numbers that I looked at today, he's shooting 76% from the free throw line, and that gives you some hope. It definitely gives you some hope. I think at times this year he's shooting 80% from the free throw line, but it's dipped down a little bit. So when I compare that to other prospects that we looked at in the past, like Cason Wallace, where the guy's a lot smaller. Cason Wallace is what, 6'2", 6'3", maybe, but like shot 70% around the rim, right? Like Salaun needs to go up strong and finish strong. And so, yeah. Any thoughts so far before we continue on?
I think his shot, like you said, looks fine to me. The high release is interesting. We don't see too many guys now in the league with such a high release like he has. I think you made a good point about his age. I don't see motor issues. I see sometimes he might float or get lost. And he's playing in a men's league. He's played 53 games and he just played a playoff game, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. So he's going to round up close to 60 games this year at 18 years old. That when you play in these leagues overseas, you're playing like double the amount of games you would in college basketball. So there's a big sample size on what you're going to have on Salaun, just like Risacher as well. So he's an interesting prospect. I got to say, I think you've dubbed it quite accurate when you say about him being a mystery box, because he's definitely nowhere near a finished product at 18 years old. And there's athletic upside. He is a good cutter. I can definitely see that. He's having his best season shooting threes at 18 years old. So there's flashes that I see. He is an athletic finisher around the rim. He's actually a bit of a lob threat, quite honestly. And whenever we think of lob threats, we think of the Derek Lively's. We think of some of the more athletic centers. He's kind of a lob threat for being a 4. I would put him as a 4 probably in the league in due time. And there are some concerns, certainly, that I have, but I've also noticed that he's a pretty good off-ball defender. I wouldn't want to have him guard the best player on the other team, but he has this defensive awareness where he's just able to jump the pass, shoot the gaps, we might say, in basketball. He does that pretty well for an 18-year-old playing in the men's league in France. And when I say that, like, this is a professional, high-quality, physical league. And I think in his last game, what did he have in his last game in the playoffs? They beat Paris on the road, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 8 of 13 from the field in just 25 minutes. I think he had a couple of threes as well. So he kind of hit that 18-year-old wall, just like Risacher did, actually, where the numbers kind of went flat. And now they're starting to pick up a little bit, I think, in these playoffs, which is encouraging to see. He's interesting. You call him the mystery box, I call him interesting.
Usually when my mother ever has said that something is interesting, it's not a good thing, but I know that that's not
I actually
how you
mean
mean
it. I mean it as a good thing, but you're cautiously optimistic.
Yes.
Because I do have some reservations too, but I would for unless you're LeBron James or Wembanyama, Giannis. People forget Giannis had some question marks. There's a reason he went 13 or 14 in the 2014 draft. I think it was 2014 or 2013. Masai's first draft. He ain't go number 1. Obviously, if people could redo that week draft, Giannis would go number 1.
Yeah, so
But it takes time.
The other thing too is that I see him primarily in his first few years as a play finisher. I think that that's kind of where he's going to focus things, around the hoop. In the mid range is where he needs a lot of work. I think he is shooting sub 25% on pull ups. I think there was some sort of stat where it's like 7% was like his floater range. Like he needs a lot of work when he's not dunking the ball. And that's okay. He's 18 years old. I don't know how you feel. Well, actually, I'll get to that in a second because I'm going to ask about how you feel about moving up for him now that I'm putting all the numbers out there. But before I get to that, I'll say this. He has shown some promise in terms of his ability to drive and not just in straight line. But again, it's a little bit clunky right now. And he does like to try new things, which I like that. He is turnover prone. I
Yeah.
would tell people, do not expect Scotty Barnes. He is not Scotty Barnes.
No,
He
different game.
is very far away from being a playmaker. And I even wrote down, I said he could be a lob finisher as a forward, which is great because we always talk about Scotty needing a lob threat, and I don't see Pirtle as jumping high enough off the ground consistently enough to be a really solid lob threat with that catch radius. He has catch radius lower to the ground, but Pirtle's a much more floor-oriented game. This kid could be above the rim. And above the rim, he has the potential. He has shown flashes as being a shot creator. He's shown flashes of being a really good lob finisher. And I think that there's something there. On this specific roster, it's going to be his defense, which we'll get to in a second, that will keep him on the floor. And hopefully his offense will grow with time. Any final thoughts on his offense before we go to the defense?
Good catch and shoot player from what I've seen. Like I said, he's got his feet are always ready to shoot, and that's mark of the upside of a decent shooter. Your feet set up your hands. Your hands can set up your eyes. But we have a lot of catch and shoot players now. We need creators. If I'm playing devil's advocate here a little bit. If you're not looking just on talent, he's probably not the pick. Take away the talent argument for a second. I don't know if he is the pick that I would want to be surrounding Scotty. If I'm just going by the Raptors' plan.
And by talent, do you mean like athletic gifts with
Athletic,
perceived highest upside?
That's exactly what I mean. I wonder if that is the right player right at this moment, because if you trade up, you're drafting him relatively high. You would want to have expectations of him to be a major part moving forward. I just don't know if he's the right guy for what we have right now. That's my only concern. But if you're drafting, say, hey, we're looking for the best talent, and he's there, then I understand. Take the best talent. We need talent. I just wonder about fit. And I know people are going to say always take talent over fit. I think if you can do both, why not? Why not do talent and fit if that kind of can go together?
I mean, it would be ideal. And again, like to me, I'm looking at like long term with Scotty Barnes, who dominates a lot of conversation because he is a franchise player. Again, I think that you build around a core, but if you haven't identified the core, you don't want someone who can't necessarily fit around him as well. I mean, Cooper Flagg's whole different it's a whole different ball game. But I mean, like, it's like, does Scotty Barnes fit around Cooper Flag? Is really the question.
Yeah,
But
and
like,
that's not the argument here with
that's not the
Saunders.
argument here, right?
Yeah,
Like, but it's like, yeah, like it's not. But with this one, it's like you're not asking, does Scotty Barnes fit around, this kid? I think it's the opposite way around. And I mean, he does enough of the other things, but it's going to be hard for him to carve out a role depending on what else they want to do with the rest of their roster, right? Like, again, if you're going to have Noora, like a lot of people have advocated for Noora, Noora needs minutes too. Noor is young enough that you're not just sitting him there as a break in case of emergency bench guy. He wants a chance to actually play and showcase his talents and earn his next contract. He's not Garrett Temple at the end of his thing trying to learn the LSAT, preparing for life after the NBA, right? So where does this kid fit? To me, I said it before, and I will stick to this. Beyond's not here to argue with me about it. This is the type of guy that you'd have in the G League, and if you draft him, yes, he would probably be in the G League for a good portion of the year, in my opinion.
so let me ask you this question here. This is interesting what you brought up.
Hmm.
How patient does the organization need to be with him until he cracks the rotation? Because I'm saying 2 years, maybe.
Sound familiar? Two
Yeah,
years away. So
yeah.
here's the thing. I mean, we're not working on this from VHS tapes, which is nice, but um, first of all, it doesn't matter because Masai's contract is up in 2 years. So I mean, like, it's like, I don't know how patient is this organization with Masai for the next 2 years and beyond. But for Masai, this would be a gamble that I don't know if he's willing to afford, because I don't know if he has that much leeway. You're looking at a longer rebuild no matter what, and that's my honest opinion. And we may not get to the other prospect that we're going to get into, but you know, yeah, like, I mean, just to wrap it up with this guy, defensively, I think we've talked about him a little bit enough, but that's where his game lies. But he has much higher upside than, say, like a Ryan Dunn.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I just think with him defensively, I mentioned how he's a good off-ball defender. On-ball defender, I don't. He needs a lot of work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, overall, he's has a higher potential than Ryan Dunn, but defensively, Ryan Dunn is better. I think you're
Yeah,
drafting Salaun to hopefully be like much more than that, right? Like, but
you would hope. Yeah,
he kind of is a jack of all trades, but really not even close to being a master of any. Um, it's almost I don't want to make but it's almost like having a raw Scotty who starts out with being a better shooter, but has no chance of being the playmaker that Scotty is.
here's another interesting part. This will connect, but I wonder what the fit looks like moving forward. Let's just say they draft Salon this year. Now you got Scotty, you got Salon, you got RJ. 2025 comes around, we get a top two pick. We take Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey. Now you have three or four guys. I get it. You pick the best talent, but all those types of talents, I don't know, can all play at the same time with all those similar skill sets. What is that going to look like?
Well, I
You see what I
mean,
mean?
at least Cooper Flag can potentially, he shoots really well and
Because
he
they're
can
all
create
three
his own
fours,
shots.
all of them.
I mean, now you're doing this Vision 6-9. Get the right, just hey
I
man,
thought we tried to go away from that.
hey, just get the right center around it, and now we're talking.
Scotty would have to play point guard then if we get all these
Well, you'd
other
still have
six.
quickly potentially, right?
Yeah. No, it's. I'll just say this: if you're going to take a
We're
swing,
talking the same thing basically. Is
yeah,
that I wouldn't do this swing.
yeah. If you're going to take a swing, though, this is the draft to do it. If you're going to take a swing
But
on
if you're going to
him,
take a swing, is that the swing to take?
I'm not that okay. That I didn't say. I'm not sure if he is the right swing to take. But if you're going to take a swing on a prospect in this draft, especially in the top 15, let's just say, then you take a swing on him because everyone else you kind of have an idea of what they are. It's the mystery
Yeah,
box. Do I
yeah,
want the card? Do I want the mystery box?
The Bucks. The Bucks.
Like you said,
exactly. It's a Toyota, Corolla, or
yeah.
mystery box.
Well, let me ask you then, since we've talked about them, they're both playing in these French leagues. Risacher or Salaun, they're both on the board.
At 19?
Let's say we trade up to 15. They're both there.
Oh man. I mean, if Risacher dropped all the way to there, I mean, I would, yeah, I'd probably take Risacher over him because
Yeah, I don't foresee him dropping that far from the
yeah,
record.
but say he did, yeah, I mean, sure, you take Risacher.
I think you do too. I just think he's more refined right now. With Salaun, you're looking at just upside what he might be in 5 years, what he might be at 23 years old.
Well, and again, it's like if you want to maximize what he has, you need to give him developmental reps. And I know some people say that
Yep.
you can develop off the bench or in the G League. Nah, but you do need to give the guy some real NBA minutes at some point. And again, like if you're trying to develop him, it's not just putting him on the floor and say figure it out like you did with Nurse, because that was part of the problem. You're trying to develop. You're now trying to develop Scotty, a little bit of RJ, quickly, Grady, and this guy. And Scotty and this guy, Scotty's obviously way further along, but at the same time, Scotty needs a lot of work and he's your priority. Could this guy be lost in the shuffle? That's what I worry about.
And this goes back to you'll laugh at this. So will be on when you watch this. Salaun could be the Gigi Jackson argument. Had Gigi stayed in school, Gigi probably would be number one, number two in this draft coming up. Now, Salaun's not going to be that next year. But if he stays in France for another year and he gets more developmental growth, he could be a top 5 pick. Or he could be anywhere from like maybe 4 to like 7 in next year's draft, quite possibly if he hits these developmental gains. Which is also, do you go that route and say, well, what would he be in 2025 if he goes then? He's not, but it's the same Gigi Jackson argument. Memphis just got gold with Gigi. I say that not because I like him, but where you selected him at 42 or whatever they did, and they get a potential starter.
I think that Gigi came in a lot more skilled than this kid. Like you could see it where it's like, yeah, he needs some work. He needs a year, but like it's going to be there in a year. This guy, it's like, it may not be there in a year. I don't feel as confident as I did with Gigi. Gigi, it was like the movement, everything, it was much further along. And like, this goes back to like, what kind of guy, like if you're going to take a swing on a guy, like it's almost like Gigi, taking a swing on Gigi is like taking a swing on Bryce Sensabaugh in a way, right? Where it's like there's a certain skill floor that you can already see, right? That's Gigi. Honestly, Gigi as a second pick would have been probably the perfect pick for us because he has that shot creation upside.
He'll remind me,
right? Sorry, but whereas like that's what you're looking for, because again, people think I don't like Scotty. I think if you put a creator next to Scotty and the correct creator, not a lower end creator, but a real high end creator, I don't care what position they are, what position he is, he will take advantage of that.
and if it's about creation, Salaun's not your guy.
No, because to get to that point, you're talking about, again, you think how long it took Scotty to get to where he is, right?
3 years.
Think that this kid, in some ways, the shooting wise, he's further than Scotty, and other ways, he's not further than Scotty. So it's going to take that kid 3 to 4 years at best. I think that he has talent. I think that he could be something special. But we might not be the best team for him, and that's kind of where I land. It's interesting because if we were a different team, or we needed like a mystery box player, then yeah, not the right mystery box for us, in my opinion. But I think that he could be very, very interesting. Any final thoughts? Did we miss anything, Coach?
Okay, I think we've identified that he has upside and that he has talent, but there are some question marks with his game. And his developmental jump might be 2 years, might be 3 years. He is really young. Even Giannis took a few years. I'm not trying to make the comparison between the two, but Giannis was very raw when he first came in the league. This kid's going to be really raw coming into the league. We know that he's got a decent jump shot, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And like you just said, I don't know if he's the right fit for this team moving forward. If you're looking to sell Scotty for the next few years as well, I don't know if you want to bring in an 18-year-old prospect. You might want to bring in someone a little ahead on the timeline.
If
That's
it was
just me.
if it was Gigi, or if it was, say, even Dink Pate, I think
That's different.
It's different because the skill level's there, but because
Yes.
he's because part of the problem is he would be playing kind of a role that isn't able to help Scotty at all, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see where he would help. We've gone over other prospects that would be more complementary to Scotty, if that's their plan, assuming it is.
Yeah, and that's challenging because it's like, again, if you're at all thinking that Scotty's part of the core, I think that he is. Then and to me, I look at core as people who are going to be around for, say, 5 years, for sure. And I see Scotty is going to be around for the next 5 years at least. So past that, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. We could all be drafted into the war by then.
Yeah, but you have to sell him too on
Yes.
wanting to be here and seeing that. And if you take a couple of 18-year-old prospects,
And you're like, just wait another, by that year, the guy's just starting to figure it out, just starting to click. That's tough. That's tough.
it's tough. And I think we've gone over a few other prospects that are just further ahead and that meet his timeline just a little bit better,
Yeah.
quite frankly.
So I mean, I don't mind betting on Scotty's upside. I don't know if I want another raw prospect that I have to bet on upside, where it's like you're teaching everyone how to literally dribble and consistently shoot and consistently
We don't need that.
shoot, pass, and dribble basically for like all the teams except for like one guy can pass, maybe one dude can shoot, and one dude can dribble. And if you combine them, you'd have like an amazing basketball player. But like, so I think I'd like someone with a higher skill floor. Which is kind of, I think, why we've honed in on guys like the some of the guys that we have. Any final thoughts? I did see one comment just before we go, and then we'll really go because it's getting late. About Tyler Smith, because we've made comments about how we need defense, but yet we said Tyler Smith is a fit on this team. Do you want to explain what I meant by that, or what we may?
Well, I said his defense stinks, which is probably a little harsh on my part. I do think offensively he's got gifts. Like offensively as a fit, I like him. I like the catch and shoot. He's left-handed. He's a great athlete. I worry about him and Kelly Olynyk playing defense together off our bench next year.
Yeah,
that is my biggest
I'd put him in the
concern.
starting lineup.
You would start Tyler Smith.
Yeah, I would.
Interesting.
Yeah, as a four.
I mean that in a good way, not the bad way. That's, there could be an argument to do that actually.
I think as a help side, he's okay. But like as an on ball or anything like that, no. I think it's more he has spurts where he's good, but he has spurts where he's a little. Space Cadet.
Yeah, I just worry about him in the pick and roll on defense. I just saw a lot of the G League Ignite highlights, and maybe it's because he was on a bad team. Maybe that's part
That
of
whole
it.
team was so bad.
That
It
whole
was
team
so
was
bad in terms
bad.
of their defense. That's why it's like the defense for that whole G League squad is hard to like. It's hard to assess.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think there, but even still, there's a lot of people, not just me, that are saying that there are a lot of people that think that he has at least upside on the defensive end because he has the tools to do it.
yeah,
And he's done it in spurts.
yeah.
So yeah.
He's going to be around that spot, 19. I mean,
And
we
at the end
pick
of the
him.
day,
We
we're
pick
talking
him.
about the 19th overall pick, and like this
Yeah,
is what I'm in a flat draft, which is why I'm trying to tell people this pick is going to be an impact player at some level because our bench is so bad. But again, I would not expect this person to be saving our franchise. If they do, great.
we
It's
got
not,
bigger problems as someone at 19 is saving our
yeah,
franchise.
right?
Yeah,
Everyone keeps saying like, well, Pirtle is healthy. If our entire season is resting on Pirtle, and you look at many of the teams in the playoffs, the Knicks went in. Randall hasn't played since January, right? And Randall's, say what you want, he's one of their top players.
yeah,
I want to not. I want to be a team that's good enough to not rely on Pirtle, or can survive RJ being out or Scotty being injured or whatever and still be winning more than one stretch of games in the entire season where you won 3 games
yeah.
in the entire season. So yeah, with that being said, Basketball Rewind, we will be here to talk about it all. Trey's coming soon. JD's coming soon. Coach, I believe you are going to be here and hopefully Beyond is as well. Any parting shots? You're wrong.
No, we got mystery boxes. We got upside. We got Dallas and
Would you have picked the
Minnesota.
car or would you pick the mystery box?
Oh man. Yeah, I'd probably go with the car.
Yeah.
At least I know what I'm getting. You don't want to be disappointed, man.
Hey, you
in a
could always
mystery
sell the
box.
car.
Yeah, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully, it's a nice car.
I mean, hey, even if it's a Toyota Corolla, it's going to get you from point A to point B.
Yeah,
With that
that's
being
true.
said, it's Basketball Rewind, and it has been fun. All right, take care and peace.